My name is Jennifer D'Amico. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the CSS virtual conference, Partnerships, People, and Pressures. And I'd like to start by saying it's my privilege today as co-chair of the CSS Advisory Committee, along with my partner in crime, Christina Bazance, to welcome you all here today, along with the planning committee of this second virtual conference for community support services this year. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement of the place where I am working from today and also live in the town of Richmond Hill. I would like to say that following the land acknowledgement, I'll give you a little bit of a background as to why we're all joining here today, and would like you to reflect on the place and space where you are working and living and playing as we gather on the lands that have been home to First Nations peoples from time immemorial. We acknowledge that what we now call Richmond Hill is on the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the Mississauga Chippewa Nations of the Williams Treaty. We also recognize that we are on part of the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee and the Huron-Wendat. We would also like to acknowledge all First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people from across North America, also known as Turtle Island, who now reside in the city of Richmond Hill. We are committed to rebuilding constructive and cooperative relationships. Thank you. Recognizing that each of you is coming from a different place in space, also recognizing that we're here today as part of the Central Region Ontario Health region, and really excited to be able to be part of this second conference of the year. Back in the fall of 2022, the origins of this conference really came to fruition through the work of 3 working groups of the CSS Advisory Committee of Central Region Ontario Health: Partnerships, People, and Pressures. It was a recommendation to the Central Region Ontario Health that the community support services needed a place and space to get to know each other, to learn more about each other. And an RFP was conducted, and the Regional Learning Center was the successful partner. Since that time, we've had one conference, and the Regional Learning Center has recognized the vast amount of information and sharing that we couldn't possibly have completed back in April 18th earlier this year. It seems like a lifetime ago, but only this past spring. And so they offered to provide, gratis, this second conference. So we're so grateful to the Regional Learning Center, to our partners at Central Region Ontario Health, and to each and every one of you for making time and place and space to learn more about each other, and for all of the speakers who are joining us today from across Central Region Ontario Health, who will be providing us with lots of great information, sharing their expertise, and an opportunity to engage. So without further ado, I'll hand things over to Taryn Bolt, who will be our moderator this morning. Have a great day.
All right, good morning, everyone, and we're so glad that you've joined us. My name is Taryn, and I'm the Senior Manager with the Regional Learning Center, and I'll be your moderator for our sessions today. We've got a great program this morning with representatives from 3 regional municipalities of Peel, York, and Halton. So in July of this year, we actually surveyed everyone here to see which topics you would like to hear about from regional programs. And the 3 topics that were chosen are the presentations that you're going to see today. So the first presentation we have coming up is Community Funding Opportunities, and we'll be joined by Robin Garrell, Arlene Coventry-Bauer, and Janelle Smith from Halton, Peel, and York regions, respectively. So I'm going to skip kind of the long, introductions where we read everybody's credentials, but suffice to say, everybody is a content expert in their field. So I'll turn things over to Robin to kick things off for us. She's a Community Partnerships Advisor at Halton Region, where she oversees the administration of their Community Investment Fund. So Robin, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Taryn, for the warm welcome, and good morning, everyone. I'm going to share my screen and get things going. So Halton Region has a number of funding mechanisms to support our community. This morning, I'm going to focus on the Halton Region Community Investment Fund, or what we call HRCIF. The HRCIF provides funding to enhance the health, safety, and well-being of Halton residents. All programs and initiatives funded through the HRCIF must have a clear human services objective, meaning they must support people who are vulnerable or at risk of becoming vulnerable to negative health or social outcomes. And each year, $4 million is invested through single-year and multi-year grants of up to 3 years. The fund is supported wholly through the regional tax base, and the graph on screen shows the incremental growth of the fund since 2015. Many of you would be familiar with community safety and well-being plans, or CSWB plans, in your respective communities. There is intentional alignment between Halton's Community Safety and Wellbeing Initiative and the Halton Region Community Investment Fund. So the fund's priorities are aligned with Halton's CSWB planning objectives, and those are what you see on screen: health, safety, and well-being. So funding requests to HRCIF must align with CSWB planning objectives. They're pretty broad, and these objectives ensure the fund has the flexibility to respond to a wide range of current and emerging issues. So there are a few other ways CSWB, Community Safety and Wellbeing, and the fund are aligned. So HRCIF serves as a tool in Halton Region's broader approach to respond to issues emerging from our community safety and wellbeing planning. Through the fund, projects supporting the work of community safety and wellbeing action tables have been supported. And an action table brings together people, programs, and services who are best positioned to develop and lead a response to a specific CSWB priority or issue. Some examples that are active in Halton include an action table around older adult isolation, an action table around youth transitioning from the care of child welfare services, and opioids. A full list can be found on the Community Safety and Wellbeing page on halton.ca. One other way that we're aligned with the Community Safety and Wellbeing Initiative is that we use HRCIF as a source of issue or priority identification. So applicants to the fund tell us why a program or initiative should be a priority in Halton, and through this, emerging issues are identified. And lastly, before I move on, a system leadership group comprised of leaders from organizations with human service system planning accountabilities guides Halton's CSWB activities and plan. So those sorts of organizations are school boards, police services, Ontario Health Regions, the Ontario Health Teams, Halton Region, our four local municipalities, Children's Aid Society, and our hospitals. So the system leadership group has a mandate to identify and prioritize human service issues and support community partners to respond. We engage the system leadership group partners in the review of funding applications, and these delegates are helping us in the review process by providing a system lens to identify high impact investment opportunities. So now that I've described some of the fund's objectives, I'll provide an overview of the mechanics of the fund. So HRCIF uses an application-based granting approach. There are 2 streams that organizations can apply to: Category 1 and Category 2. Category 1, these grants can be up to 1 year to support short-term, small capital, or innovative initiatives. The maximum threshold that can be requested in this category is $30,000. And incorporated nonprofits, either with or without charitable status, or unincorporated community groups sponsored by a registered charity, can apply to Category 1. Category 2, these grants can be up to 3 years to support programs and initiatives. There is no upper threshold on an amount of funding that can be requested in this category. We do require applicants to be a registered charity, though, so they have to be a registered charity and an incorporated nonprofit to apply to Category 2. And through the HRCIF, we're really trying to encourage collaborative applications that are demonstrating a coordinated or integrated approach to meeting the needs of the Halton community. Timing is everything, and this conference is well timed. An initial intake for 2024 funding is now open in Halton, and the application deadline is November 2nd, 2023 at 2 p.m. So this deadline is for both categories of funding that I just described, Category 1 and Category 2. So applications for funding will also be continue to be accepted in 2024 to respond to community needs. So information about that continuing or ongoing intake would be posted on halton.ca in January. And as noted on screen, applications will be accepted until all funding is allocated. So I would encourage any Halton serving organizations that may be participating this morning who are thinking of applying for 2024 funding to consider a submission to the initial intake. And the applications, the funding guidelines that describe other eligibility requirements can be found on the HRCIF page on halton.ca. So if you're interested in learning about the types of projects, programs, and initiatives that have been funded by HRCIF, you can visit halton.ca, where you'll find a complete listing and a brief description of each project. So the visual on the screen on the left-hand side is the home screen for the HRCIF webpage, and on the right is a sample of some of the funded projects in 2023. The list is alphabetical by year, so you'll see just a couple of highlighted on the right-hand side here. And lastly, some contact information for myself. If you'd like to be in touch or have inquiries, you can reach me at the email robin.gorell@halton.ca or through our more general inbox, Community Investment Fund @halton.ca. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Robin, for sharing that valuable information with the community. And again, as Robin said, folks can message her. If you're in the FeedLoop platform, you can also find her under the networking tab and send her a message as well.